Welcome to CNT Collectibles. I am C.
I'm T.
And we're going to wrap up our player preview with the outfielders. And we've got a bunch of them today. So we're not going to do left field, center field, right field. We're just going to do kind of our top 10 with a bunch of bonus players mixed in. Also the DHs, because we can't forget about some of these guys. They're monsters, but we're going to throw them in with the outfielders because where else are they going to play for the most part? If you're a DH, you're probably not playing shortstop, are you?
Well, no.
Nah, if you go to the field, you're probably going the outfield or first base or something. So we're going to throw them in with the outfielders. So we've got a number of DHs, a couple speculation guys, and then a few guys on the outside, and then our top 10. And we're not going to remember where the top 10 starts, so they'll be ranked in order of how good we think they'll be. So all of our projections come from Fangraphs. We make some adjustments on our own, and off we go. Wrap this up, right?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, so we're going to start off with Seiya Suzuki. Not in the top 10, but. The projections do have him hitting around 290, 10% walk rate, 20% or 18% strikeout rate, which is elite level contact. You want that plate presence. Weighted runs created of 131 with 26 home runs. If he hits those marks, then he is a top 10 outfielder for the most part. Now, we've seen players come from overseas before. They typically don't perform that well in the first year. Projections are often a little bit rosy. But, as far as them panning out to those projections, it's unlikely. So it's a player to watch. He could actually, maybe that's what he does. And then he becomes a top 10 outfielder. But I'm hesitant to put him in that top 10 because of his lack of track record over here in the States. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about a couple DHs here. The Franimal. What do you see about the Franimal?
Well, that's some good average, I guess.
Here. There you go.
Hello.
Yeah,
it's decent average, I guess. The BABIP's pretty good. Pretty good walk rate.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said, I guess. But the K rate.
Right. It's fair. You would expect someone who's capable of hitting upwards of 40 home runs to maybe not have the best average, to strike out a little bit more because they're putting a lot into the ball. They're really swinging hard, and there's going to be some swing and miss to their game. But if you're able to hit, 30, 40 home runs, closer to 40 home runs, you can still have a nice weighted runs created and be a productive player. So he's got a high home run to fly ball ratio. But again, when you put everything into the air, that's just kind of how it goes. So as far as DHs go, it's a guy to keep your eye on. We don't have him ranked extremely high. He's got a lot of variable outcomes, so we'll see how it kind of plays out. But if he is able to do kind of what he did last year and do it over a full season, this could be a player that puts up around 40 home runs. So, all right, something a little bit more predictable. This is a superhero type guy. This is John Carlos. Look at him. I mean, come on, put a suit of armor on that dude. Put him in a Marvel movie. He looks like he's ready to go.
Is he
Who wins, Giancarlo Stanton or The Rock?
Well, The Rock. He has bigger muscles.
Yeah, I don't know. He's pretty big as well. So we know what he is at this point. Okay. He is going to walk 10% of the time. He's going to strike out in the high 20s, put up a weighted runs created about over 130. He's going to hit 35, 40 home runs. The only question we have is his health. So, honestly, when he has missed time, it hasn't really been his fault. Taking a pitch to the face that knocked him out for a season, and now he's starting to get some nagging injuries. And so, really, the big question for Mr. Stanton is: are you going to be able to stay healthy? Because if you stay healthy, we kind of know what you're going to do, and it's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So we will rank him again with the DHs. High, right? Because of what his potential is. But again, it does come down to the playing time. There's a couple more players here that we're going to rank a little bit higher because we kind of know what they're going to do. And we're going to start, we're not going to start. We've already started, but a spot ahead of John Castellanos just because of his consistency is Mr. Nelson Cruz. Remember this guy, right? That's a great picture of him. It looks like out of a movie or something. Like the Sandlot 45. There it is, Nelson Cruz. So,
45?
Right. Well, he's a little bit older than than the kids in Sandlot 1 and 2, right? So
yeah.
Did they do a 3 on that one? So we know what he is. He's a 265, 270 hitter, around a 290-ish, sub 300 BABIP or whatever, because he got no speed. He's going to walk about 8-9% of the time. He's going to strike out a little over 20%. And he's going to hit you 30-plus bombs, okay? I mean, he's just consistency at this point. He's on Washington. They're a little bit bare bones, but I think they're better than people let on. You've got Juan Soto, obviously. No one, that's not a surprise.
He got traded to Washington?
Well, he signed with Washington.
What the heck?
We traded him to Tampa. Remember, we got back Joe Ryan, which was a really good trade for the Twins. It was a smart move, but now he signed with Washington. So now you've got him with Juan Soto. I think Josh Bell will have a pretty nice season, and so he could have a little bit of lineup protection. So maybe not the worst team ever, but we know what he's going to do at this point. 30-plus home runs, a little over 121s created. The consistency is what you're looking for. And what I like about Nelson Cruz, I mean, obviously he's in his 40s, so to see a guy in the 40s doing his thing, that's pretty nice to see. But he's closing in on 500 home runs. He might force that conversation, that Hall of Fame conversation, if he's able to do this for just a couple of more years. It's really difficult to predict players going into their 40s, especially a guy that starts at 27. But, writing off 27-year-olds, 99% of the time, you're right to do it. But in this case, he's bucking the trend, and I love to see it. All right, let's get into our top 2 designated hitters. Yordan Alvarez, when he's healthy, is awesome. There's no question about it. So, rookie of the year, very healthy. The next year, not so healthy. And last year, very healthy. So 277 average with 33 home runs, 138 weighted runs created. This is a top 10 hitter if he plays the full season. 2022, what are we looking from him?
Well, as it says right there, little better average, barely the same BABIP, little higher walk rate. But the K rate's going to stay about the same, but the weighted runs created is going to shoot up massively.
That's insane. So I don't know where that is coming from. I mean, additional home runs, additional average. That Houston lineup looks pretty good, but Yordan Alvarez, if he's able to match these projections, and I think he's absolutely capable of doing that, again, we are looking at a top 10 type hitter for the season. I like him a lot. There's no question about it. And our number 1 DH.
What if they traded Yordan to the Twins?
Why would they? He's still under team control and he's really cheap. Carlos Correa got expensive. They had to make some decisions. Yordan is not in that boat. Shohei Ohtani, your AL MVP with a 260 average, 46 home runs. What we're looking for is some regression. That was a really beautiful, amazing season, but 32% home runs to fly ball ratio, 32% of his fly balls left the park. That is extended, all right? Something in 25 to 30 for a home run hitter is probably more of what we're looking for. So striking out 30% of the time, it's difficult to get a real read on how consistent he can be. That seems a little bit much, a little too much in the strikeout department. And if he's able to match that, then we can look for kind of the same, but we are looking for that home run rate to drop down, that weighted runs created to drop down just a little bit.
That still is,
but still, it's still a really great number, but it's not Yordan level. It's still a really good number, but I will give him the nod because he's actually done it. What they're projecting for Yordan, he hasn't done. What they're projecting for Shohei, he has done. So I'll give him the nod, even though they're very, very close. All right, let's get into some outfielders here. There's our designated hitters. I don't think there's a ton of huge surprises there. Maybe Yordan. How many people are saying Yordan's a top 10 hitter this year? You're saying, let's go. I like it. All right, let's get into some outfielders. This is not our top 10. These are guys that are just on the outside. Nick Castellanos. In 2021, he had a career high in average. His strikeout rate, he dropped it down to 20%. That was a career low for him. 141 runs created, 34 home runs. He's a career high. It was an amazing season. Projections have him dropping considerably. He is not a 340 BABIP guy. He doesn't have the speed to support that. So get him around 300. That average is going to drop commensurately down to the 270s, perhaps. The strikeout rate and the walk rate, they should stay the same. He is what he is at this point here. The weighted runs created also will drop down with that reduction in home runs in average. All right, here's the big difference here. For the last 2 years, he's been a 284 hitter, 319 BABIP, 893 OPS, 128 weighted runs created. Okay, that's the last 2 years. Okay, for his career, he's a 278 hitter, 331 BABIP, 815 OPS, so pretty decent reduction in there, 115 weighted runs created. And home run fly ball rate of about 14%. Okay, what's the big difference? What's the difference between his career and the last 2 years? He played in Cincinnati. That is a bandbox. That is a hitter's park. He took advantage of that. Kudos to you, but he has now left that.
So how is it a band park?
What's that? It's a bandbox. So they say it's a bandbox. A bandbox is something that's kind of small and you can just hit a ton of home runs. And he took advantage of that. He did a great job. Now he's in, Philadelphia? And so you're going to see him maybe regress towards his career averages. And this is why we put him outside of our top 10. So those last 2 years, we're going to set that aside. It was anomalous. And so now that he's in Philadelphia, let's put him back more towards his career average. Maybe a little bit better than that. But for the most part, 116 weighted runs created, 115 runs created for his career. we're going to drop him down outside of the top 10 for that. If he was still in Cincinnati, I think you would have to consider him in the top 10. What he's done the last 2 years has been incredible. You would want that to, you'd assume that would continue, but he's not there anymore. All right, Schwartz, America. All right.
I like those sunglasses.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he looks terrific there. So he was an MVP candidate when he was healthy last year. He was on fire. There's no question about it. He only played 113 games, though he got hurt. So
but he still put up some great stats.
Great stats. That's how good he was in those 113 games. 266 average with a 300 BABIP, but his 145 weighted runs created. 30% of the balls he hit in the air left the park. And he was good for 32 home runs. In 2022, projecting for, maybe a DL stint or whatever. So whether that's fair or not, again, with the projections, they're going to project some injury history or they're going to project some injuries on some guys. And so you have to say, if they played the full 162, if that's likely, where do we put them? So with Schwartz, they have the average dropping down a little bit because he's probably not a 300 BABIP guy. Look at him, man. He's running right here, but is he the fastest runner ever? Maybe not. So we are... He's no Usain Bolt. The walk rate, the strikeout rate, probably pretty similar. Weighted runs created, elite level bat, upwards of 40 home runs, just because what he was doing last year. If he played it, this many games, that's probably what he has. So expect not quite what he did last year, but he's a very talented player. There's no question about it. But if he was able to do a full season, maybe he'd make the top 10. But missing a couple games here and there, he's maybe going to fall just outside of that. Let's see him prove it just one more time. Okay, moving on to our very own Byron Buxton. I love that picture here. So,
what is that weighted ones created?
When he is on the field, he is one of the best players in the game. There is no question about it. The problem is he is not on the field. Just once in his career, he's played in over 100 games.
Wait, what? Once in his career?
Just once. So this year comes down to Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton. Can you be on the field at the same time for most of the season? We could have something special here. But when he was playing last year, 61 games. This isn't 2020 where it was a 60-game season. This was a full season, and he only played 61 games. 300 average, 344 BABIP. He's a speedy guy. He can have a higher BABIP because he can beat a lot of this stuff out. We know what he is at the plate. For his career, he's only played 50% of the games that he was eligible to play, and he's missed 50% of the games. So it's really tough to give him that full year projection here. Walks 5% of the time, strikes out 24% of the time. 169 rated runs created. That is MVP level stuff. 19 home runs in 61 games. That's insane. 30% home run to fly ball ratio. 42% of the balls he hits are hard. All right, for 2022, rightly they're projecting for 131 games, and that would be darn near the most that he's ever played. 270 average with over 300 BABIP. Again, strike walkout rate. We know what he is at this point. Once you get to about 1,000 at bats into your career, you kind of know what you are here. So 126 weighted runs created, 32 home runs. Could be a very, very nice season for Buck, but he's got to stay on the field. If we knew he was going to play 150 plus games, I would absolutely have him in the top 10, but he's never done that. So it's hard to throw him in there, if you know what I'm saying here. So I think this is our last player before we get into our top 10. This is Teoscar Hernandez. 300 average last year with a 350 BABIP. This was a player that had a terrific season. I think a lot of people are high on him this year. And here's why we might want to temper it just a little bit. Right, so he had the lowest walk rate of his career, the lowest strikeout rate of his career, so he's headed in the right direction with 132 weighted runs created and 32 home runs, which is a career high. Home run to fly ball ratio, not extreme at all. There's room for that to go up a little bit, and 36% of the balls he hits are classified as hard. 2022 projections have him hitting 262. That 352 BABIP, again, that is elevated. That is unsustainable. Now, typically within season, you can maintain it, but season to season, you will see regression more towards some sort of a career average or a league norm. So if that BABIP drops down back to that 310, 320 area, then that average will drop as well. Strikeout and walk rate, probably pretty similar stuff. Weighted runs created will fall commensurately to that average in BABIP, but you can see a few more home runs out of him as he matures and understands his hitting approach a little bit more. So the last 2 years, really a changed hitter. The first couple of years, he was figuring things out. The last 2 years, he's been a 295 guy, 351 BABIP. 883 OPS with 134 weighted runs created. So he's been terrific in a shortened 2022 season and an extended or full 2021 season. So The projections, I think, may be a little bit light. So they're taking in his career trajectory, but there's been a change somewhere. And so I think we could see him outperform his projections just a little bit. And so perhaps he's in that 120 range for weighted runs created. And, the home runs seem fair and everything like that. The average, maybe he's a 270 guy or something like that. So they're probably pretty close, but I would take the over on most of those. But that still puts him just outside the top 10. All right. I think we are at number 10 right now.
Lubab.
Is he any good?
Nah, I've never heard of him.
A lot of people like him for MVP this year.
I haven't heard of him.
Right. So
who is this guy? He played 68 games?
Yeah, he was hurt last year. So a lot of people this is kind of your dark horse MVP candidate. So 338 average last year, 394 BABIP, which is extended. There's no question about it. Lowest walk rate of his career, lowest strikeout rate of his career. Dropping that down to 20% is a big deal. 157 rated runs created. That is elite level. That's beyond elite. That's MVP level stuff. 13 home runs, but he's only played 68 games. Home run to fly ball ratio, lowest of his career. Hard hit rate, highest of his career. Now, the projections this year have him hitting 281 because that 394 BABIP is not repeatable over the course of a season, most likely. So if he's in that 280, 290 area, maybe upwards of 300, I think that's probably more realistic. He's a speedy guy. So that 330 BABIP is probably fair. Look for him to walk and strike out roughly the same with around 126 weighted runs created, 130. Call him an elite level bat. There's no question about it with 30 home runs. 44 games after his injury, okay? He was injured for a big part of the season. In the 44 games after that, he had a 350 average, a 111 OPS with 173 weighted runs created. He was the best player in the league when he came back last year for the last month and a half of the season. He is elite. There's no question about it. This projection seems potentially light. But because it was a short sample size with such extreme metrics, we'll have to have him prove it before we move him up too much farther, okay? But amazing player and absolutely someone to watch out for. Joey Gallo, one of my favorites. This might be a little bit of emotional bias. I mean, I could have Lubab ahead of a few of these guys, but because of Joey Gallo's track record, I'm going to throw him ahead for this year, all right? Last year, he hit 200 with a 246 BABIP, all right? None of this looks good. He walked nearly 20% of the time, but he strikes out 35% of the time. 123 weighted runs created, nearly 40 home runs. Okay, what Joey Gallo does is he hits the ball in the air more than anybody else, but he hits it so hard and so consistently that he's really good at hitting home runs. That is his job, to hit home runs, and he does it as good as anybody in the league.
If you're a baseball player, you hit home runs, unless you're a pitcher.
Well, there's certain players that if you're not able to hit home runs, you want to get on base, right? So his 2022 projections, not a whole lot different, because this is what he does. 200, 256 BABIP. He's going to walk a ton. He's going to strike out a ton. And he's going to be an elite level hitter because he's going to hit a lot of bombs, all right? So his career max exit velocity last year, 117 miles per hour. It was his maximum exit velocity. His launch angle, 22 degrees. And so he has that perfect combination of, the how you hit the ball at an angle to get out of the park and the speed with the ball leaves the park. And he barreled up 20% of the ball. So when he hits the ball, which, 35% of the time he doesn't, but the other, 65% of the time when he hits the ball, he hits it so well that it goes out of the park. He's so good at hitting home runs, and he's been doing it for a long time that I have to take that skill set and put it ahead of some of these other guys that have the potential to do so. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Brian Reynolds. All right, 2 of the last 3 years, he's been pretty darn amazing. 2020 in the shortened season, he was league average. But in the year before that, 5 wins. This past year, 5 or 6 wins. He's been pretty terrific. So in 2021, 302 average, 345 BABIP, walks 11, 12% of the time, strikes out under 28% of the time, and that is getting better. 142 runs created with 24 home runs, all right? His home run to fly ball ratio, there's room for improvement if that's what he wants to do. And his hard hit rate, it was the lowest of his career last year, but he was doing a few things a little bit different. All right, 2022 projections. That BABIP at 345, that's a little bit extended, all right? Even if you're a speedy guy, that's a little bit too much. He's got speed. He plays the outfield. We're going to drop that down just a little bit, so put him in that 280, 285 area. But we would expect the walks and the strikeouts to still be at that elite level plate presence of 10 and 20 with 125 weighted runs created and 23 home runs. This is a top 10 outfielder. We really like Brian Reynolds. Anything to say about Brian Reynolds? I like it. All right.
He's
Man,
the son
a few
of an
words.
actor.
Is he? Brian Reynolds? Yeah. Maybe they're brothers because they're like the same age. All right, George.
Sure. Wait, what?
George Springer last year only played 78 games.
A lot of people that were hurt.
A lot of people were hurt, and you can't there's two kinds of hurt. Guys that get hurt all the time for no good reason, like Aaron Judge. And then there's guys that get hurt and it's really not their fault. And so you just kind of assume they're going to pick up where they left off. So last year he hit about in 78 games, 270, 290 BABIP, walk and strikeout, kind of elite level stuff. 140 weighted runs created, 22 home runs. Home run to fly ball ratio, not egregious by any stretch, and a good hard hit ratio. His projections this year have him doing roughly the same. This is what he's done for his career. So can he be a 30-plus home run guy while hitting 262? And you can see how that lines up with his career. 270, 305 BABIP, something like that. 11 and 22, so elite strikeout rate with 135 rated runs created. He's a terrific player when he plays. There's no question about it. These projections, perhaps just a little bit light. He's aging a little bit, so these things the projections are going to come down just a touch. But for his career, I mean, this is an elite level player. So it's unfortunate that I like him. I like him personally as well. So he got a little bit later start. So as far as like that Hall of Fame track or whatever, it's going to be a little bit tough. But he's a terrific player in the interim. There's no question about it. And he'll slot in at, I don't even know what number we're on at this point.
We're at...
Yeah, go with six or seven or something like that. All right.
Okay.
I think we're higher than that.
I think we're 6. We're at 6 and we're already.
Let's go! Right.
We're at 3, 2, or 1 right now.
Right. Well, he's hurt. He's going to miss a few weeks here,
that
right?
makes more sense.
Exactly. 2021 stats. We know what he did last year in a partial season. He was a MVP track. There's no question about it. Before his injury, 280. Walking strikeout rate, and this is elite level stuff, and he's doing this at a young age. 154-34 weighted runs created with 26 home runs. I mean, this guy was on a 50 home run pace, which was insane, and he's not even doing it at an extreme level. He's just hitting bombs, and there's more he could do if that's what he chooses to do. So we're going to have him pick up right where he left off, but he's going to miss a few weeks, all right? This would be probably a top 3 or 4 outfielder if he was going to play a full season, but he is not going to play a full season. So look for a lot of the same here. Walk and strikeout and BABIP and average. Projections have him weighted runs created. This is an elite level player. There's no question about it. They're just going to have him take a few weeks off. So that's why we don't have him right up there near the top. All right. Getting near the top, I think we're at number 4 or something like that. Mookie Betts.
We're at 5, I think.
Perhaps we're at 5. I guess we'll find out at the end. I don't know. So 2021 stats. He's elite, man. 122 games. He was hurt a little bit, but he was Mookie. So 270 with, I mean, not quite Mookie, but he's pretty good Mookie.
There's a lot of these players that are hurt.
Yeah, well, it happens, especially some of these guys get a little bit older here. So Mookie Betts, 270, 265 average, 276 BABIP, which is low for him. Walk and strikeout rate, it's just elite level stuff. He walks almost as much as he strike out in the low teens, which is amazing. That was his highest strikeout rate of his career, so his injury didn't help a whole lot. But an elite level bat, 131 rated runs created, 23 home runs, home run to fly ball. Just nothing. He's launching it when he wants to, and otherwise, he doesn't have to try. 41% of his balls classified a hard hit. This year, we're looking for that BABIP to rise back up more to his career average. Okay, we're looking for improvement from an injured Mookie Betts. If you're injured, you should expect some improvement. So, 280, 292 BABIP. Walk and strikeout rate, again, you are what you are at this point, which is amazing, and closer to that 141 rated runs created with 30 home runs. We like Mookie Betts a lot. These are terrific numbers, but I think there's a few guys that can maybe outperform that just a bit here. So as we get into our top 4-ish, Aaron Judge, when he's healthy, he's a top 5 player. So how do you not put him in his top 5 when he played sort of a full season? Let's see if he can do that. This was his first full season since his rookie year for the most part.
Okay.
Right. He played like 152 games in 2017's rookie year. Hasn't done it since. Last year he put it up, and look what he does. So if he stays healthy, he deserves this spot. So last year was the highest average of his career, right around 290. It was his highest or his lowest strikeout rate of his career, around 25%, or maybe something like that. So 332 BABIP. Like when you strike out a bit and you hit a ton of home runs, I mean, there's gonna be more variance in your BABIP. But 148 weighted runs created with nearly 40, yeah, exactly, 39 home runs, with nearly 40 home runs. So this year, just if you stay healthy, the BABIP comes down a little bit, which is going to hurt your average a touch here. Walk and strikeout rate shouldn't change too much here. Weighted runs created, 40 home runs. Again, if it all comes down to health with Aaron Judge. We know what he does when he's top 5. He's an amazing player. He's an MVP candidate. And so that's what it comes down to. All right, let's get down to, maybe this is number 5 here. Kyle Tucker. Oh, wait, what? All right. 2021 stats. He was a 300 hitter with 9% walk rate, 15% strikeout rate, which is amazing stuff. 147 weighted runs created and 30 home runs. he wasn't doing anything extreme to get those balls out of the park, and 40% of the balls he hit were hard hit. So this year, if the BABIP comes down just a tiny bit, I mean, the projections are kind of lining up for the same thing, which is incredible level stuff, all right? So, looking for a 280, 290 average, 10% walk rate, 17% strikeout rate, 140 weighted runs created, 33 home runs. So it's about time they give him a full-time job, and he's been able to run with it. This is an amazing player. He's got speed. He's got power. And I think people are catching on to how good he really is. So we're big fans of Kyle Tucker, and he's going to be we're going to have him. I don't know if he's going to be anything, but we're going to have him in that top 5 overall. So, All right, you take this next one for me, okay?
Oh, gosh.
All right, is he any good?
Well,
do you think?
Well, yeah, it's Bryce Harper, 300 average, pretty good BABIP, average walk rate, I guess, average K rate, I guess, but the weighted runs created is perfect.
Is that it's MVP level, would you say?
Well, yeah.
Did he win an MVP last year?
I don't know.
The BABIP was elevated. Again, the 360 area is tough to maintain. 300 if you're an average player. 320, 330 if you've got some speed, maybe, but otherwise you'll probably regress that. That walk rate, how many guys are walking 16% of the time? You don't see that too often. I think there's one player that's on this list that does it a little bit more, but that strikeout rate is commensurate to it. It's a little over 20%, but that walk rate is so high, it kind of negates it a little bit. Again, MVP level stuff, 35 home runs. Wasn't doing anything crazy to get those home runs. This year, that BABIP probably regresses. Last time he won an MVP, there was a major regression the next season. I hope not, because I took him, I think, 3rd overall in my fantasy draft. So I'm hoping for not a lot of regression. But if we saw a 271 average, 270, 280 with that BABIP dropping, it wouldn't be surprising. His walk and strikeout rate should maintain the same. Still, we're looking at well above elite level stuff. One of the best players in the game with 37 home runs. So most of his stats were highest since 2015. That was his first MVP season, which makes a lot of sense. If you win an MVP, you should have some of the best stats of your career. And this was, pretty close to his 2015 season, which was the highest stats of his career. So for him to repeat that, unlikely. Have to put him last year was the number 1 outfielder because, he won the MVP. This year, we're going to have to drop him down a couple of spots to number 3. This guy. All right.
There's no way this is number 3.
This is number 2.
Okay.
Harper's number 3.
Finally, we can't count. Okay.
Exactly. So we're down to our top 2 here. All right. 2021 stats. He only played 36 games, but they were the best first 36 games of his career. Okay. 333 average, 450 BABIP. He was going to cool off at some point. Now, maybe getting hurt was the best thing for Mike Trout because on such an incredible pace, you're not keeping this up. Maybe he's like, what, time for me to duck. It's like George Costanza. I'm out. Go out on a high note and go fishing or something like that. So, those
stats, the weighted runs created is solid. I mean, he only, for 36 games, weighted runs created. Wasn't it 20? I think it was 2020 when the short. No.
The short season 2020. Yeah, Juan Soto had 200 weighted runs created, but it was a short sample size.
200.
He was up there. Yeah. But it wasn't good enough for MVP apparently.
And those the notes say the average, the BABIP, and the weighted runs created, not even career averages. That is the most crazy thing I've heard.
Well, the projections aren't. So the BABIP, the career high probably, but again, short sample size. He was off to this was the best start to his career ever, and it's been a pretty nice career for the most part. So what we're looking for this year, again, none of this is sustainable for the most part. The walk and strikeout rate, again, this is kind of what you're looking for the most part here. So if he comes out this year hitting 273, walking 18% of the time, striking out 23% of the time, whatever. They're projecting 161 weighted runs created, right? That's what people strive to do. This is what they want to do. And his projections are I'm probably putting up 161 with 40 home runs, all right? His projections in average, BABIP, weighted runs created, they're not even career averages. And he averages, for his career, his weighted runs created average is 170. That's a really good season for people. That's his career, right?
That's what Bryce Harper was last year.
Exactly. So if you've had your best season of your career, you're upwards of 170 runs created. That's his career right there. So
what?
Say hi, Carlos.
Hi.
He doesn't think Mike Trout's any good.
Wait, what?
Exactly. So all right, Mike Trout. That's our number 2. Our number 1, of course.
Oh.
This guy.
I forgot about him.
Wait, what? Don't forget about Trey or Juan Soto. So last year, 313 average. He walks over 20% of the time. He strikes out 15% of the time. 163 weighted runs created with 29 home runs. This is the best hitter for the next 10 years. Okay, we're watching greatness right now. Enjoy it while you can. His projections have him doing kind of the same because nothing that he did last year is out of the ordinary. Walking 20% of the time, striking out 15% of the time. His projections have him at 172 weighted runs created with 36 home runs. So what we need to see for this part at least is a little bit more of a launch angle. He hits a lot of line drives and some of them go out of the park because he hits the sting out of the ball. And last year, his exit velocity and maximum exit velocity were the highest of his career. Again, still no launch angle or anything like that. But his projections, his baseline, have him being an MVP type player. And that is our number one outfielder. You like the list? Any changes?
Mike Trout, number 1.
All right, man. Well, you know what? When we do our
Juan Soto, number 2.
When we do
Ronald Acuna, number 3.
When we do our projections for World Series MVPs, Cy Youngs, you can absolutely do that. But for now, this is what we got. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.